We're back with the latest on protests in Iran, which are continuing after a woman died in police custody last week.
Yeah, 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was taken into custody by Iran's morality police, who enforce strict hijab rules. Iranian authorities have denied mistreating her. Amini's death has sparked outrage and violent unrest, with at least 5 people killed in the protests and dozens others injured.
NBC News Tehran bureau chief and correspondent Ali Arouzi joins us now with the latest on this. So, Ali, I know there are calls for a prompt and impartial investigation into this woman's death. What's the latest there?
Hey, Joe, that's right. There have been international calls for an open, independent and transparent investigation into the death of this young woman who died while she was detained by the much-feared, much-hated morality police in this country. A spokesman for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights issued a stinging statement saying that their office has received numerous unverified videos of violent treatment of women, including slapping women across the face, beating them with batons and throwing them into the back of police vans. She said that the authorities must stop targeting, harassing and detaining women who don't abide by these strict hijab rules, and is calling for a repeal of all discrimination laws and regulations that impose mandatory hijab. For their part, the authorities here, unsurprisingly, Joe, have denied any culpability in the death of Mahsa Amini, but they have been spooked by the reaction of the people on the streets. So much so that even the authorities here have said that they have launched an investigation into her death. The president of Iran even called her family to offer his condolences, but those efforts by the authorities in Iran have done little to suppress the unrest that is still continuing.
And Ali, we know that unrest was sparked by the woman's death, but as you were just talking about, this highlights a broader issue of human rights in Iran. Are there any calls to reform Iran's military or morality police, rather, and its laws requiring the wearing of those hijabs?
Yes, I mean, those are essentially what all the calls are for right now in the protests. And we are seeing unprecedented scenes in Iran right now, Steve. Women here are basically at the forefront of this movement. They are saying that their rights have been trampled on, that essentially the laws in this country are state-sponsored misogyny. And not only do they want the laws reformed, they don't want to be subject to these very strict Islamic rules on dress codes. And that's why we've been seeing last night unprecedented images in Iran of women standing in the middle of Tehran and other cities, burning their headscarves in the middle of the city, shaving their heads, being supported by large crowds chanting Iran. Several days ago, Steve, this would have been an unimaginable taboo in Iran, but this is what's happening in the evenings here in Iran. It is a seminal moment for the Islamic Republic.
I mean, Ali, in the past, we've seen anti-government unrest met with large deployments of security forces. Protesters have been arrested, injured, even killed. Is the response here similar to that?
Look, Joe, the response has been heavy-handed. There's no doubt about that. But they have, unusually, for the time being, for now, they haven't been as violent as they've been before. It's not clear exactly why. Maybe they're hoping that the protests will peter out. Maybe they don't want to have a really harsh crackdown while Iran's president is in New York and going to address the UNGA. But there are fears in this country that if the protests go on, if they get larger, and once the president is back in Iran, there'll be a no-holds-barred crackdown on protesters.
Ali Arouzi reporting from Tehran. Ali, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.